This video demonstrates to you how to use the week by week function of your digital planner. So how you go about using this ultimately is up to you. But there are a couple of basic ideas and principles that would be helpful to help you keep organized, particularly in terms of making sure you know when homework is due, when you're going to revise for that test, when you're going to put time aside to do that, and make sure that you have work kind of completed in an orderly fashion. So the first thing is that to point out on your week by week planner is that first of all, the week that you have is notified here in terms of whether it's an A week or a B week, and obviously that reflects your timetable, so that's important just to be aware of. You have space at the top here to record what the fortnightly theme is, the word of the week, the historical figure, the job of the fortnight, so as those are shared with you by your form tutor and class teachers, then obviously you can input those. And then there is free space here for you to include just important notices and events. Some of those have been auto-populated for you. So for example, there are notices there, for example, if there is a parents' evening or things like that, and a personal to-do list as well. Now, each of these boxes, so for example, if obviously this is what your first week will look like, obviously you're starting lessons on Wednesday. Let's imagine, for example, you had your lesson today and your homework was due for next Monday. Okay, so obviously we can go over to next week. Okay, and here's just an example of some homework that I've already put in here, that my English homework is due on that Monday and I've got to complete the Nuggets on Century on Act 1 Scene 2 Macbeth. How much detail I choose to put into my notes and in recording here is entirely up to me. So you can actually see here 3 different examples of just different ways that I might go about it. I might write it out in full, like English homework due, etc. I may just put my subject, the teacher, what the task is. Okay. You can see there I'm using a little code for geography. So geo, complete the Google form on rivers. Ultimately, it has to make sense to you. So these are your notes. This is to help you keep organized. You put what's going to be most relevant. But you can simply click on any of these boxes. So imagine I had some maths homework on Tuesday. I could just put maths and then just complete the worksheet. That might be enough for me to do. Okay, like I might not need any more than that. But it is entirely flexible and can be used in the way that you feel helps you organize most effectively. Now, when you've completed this work, let's say I've just absolutely nailed that math sheet, it's up to you again how you want to mark these things off as complete. So some people like to highlight, okay, and to go, yep, I have done that, but at the moment I still haven't completed that work for Mr. Talbot. So you want to highlight. Equally, you may want to change the font, okay, but sometimes that makes it a little bit more difficult to see. So just be aware of those kind of things. Another thing I can do is here we've got the button where it says done. This green icon here, the tick, these are draggable. So once I've completed that geography work, I can tick it off that way. Some people like to use the strike through function. It's whatever works most effectively for you, again, to help you organize. You can see here just an example of the to-do list. These can be entirely personal. So here's just I've got to remember to ask my mum to put money on my account for lunch, or I've got to make sure I bring that trip form back and hand it into Mr. Wood on Friday, example. And you can see here an example of where the fortnightly theme has been completed. I might also, at the very top, you've got 2 other little boxes here, one for just recording how many positives you've received in the week. So if you want to kind of keep track of that for yourself, particularly if you're setting yourself targets, that's what you can do. And also attendance, and obviously that's as simple as knowing what your attendance is. You may choose to do that on a week by week basis. So how many of the days was I in? 100% hopefully is obviously the goal, or 20%, or so on and so forth. Equally, you may decide to kind of keep track of your attendance over the year. Okay, that's again something just so you're aware of it that you can use as you wish. Now, once you've completed a certain week, so once our first week, for example, is quite short. Once I've completed that, I can choose how I go about it. If I've completed all the tasks on there and I'm done with it, I may just choose I'm going to delete it. Okay, like I want to just clean my planner up, I want to keep it nice and simple, so I can just delete. Equally, you may decide not to do that. You might just want to reorganize them. So one little thing that you may want to do is you might want to think about the order. So if I know I'm currently working on my task for week 2, I may decide that I want to drag this up right to the start of my digital planner. So for example, I know that when I load it, it's going to be the first thing I see. These are kind of the current tasks I'm working on. And then again, I might delete it once I'm finished, or I might just simply pick the next week. So I might go, okay, week 3 is now what I'm working on, put that at the front. It depends on how quickly and readily which of these different tiles you find most useful to have access to first. And for most people, that will probably be the kind of current week that you're kind of working on and the jobs that you need to get done, both for this week and for the week ahead. And like I said, this doesn't just have to be for recording homework. You can also make notes for yourself about when you're going to revise for that assessment, or things that are going to be like topic lists, like things that you've got to cover, all those kind of things. It's flexible. It's meant to be used by you. You don't have to write in every subject that you've got. You don't have to write in when you've not got homework. But if you want to do those things, you can. Again, so it's about your way of developing your organisation and your way of working, and to suit you. If at any point you ever do lose one of these and you need to kind of recreate it, you can do so by accessing the themes and the slide and create a new A week or B week that you can kind of use as a template. But all of the year is there by default, and then as you go through the year, when there are certain things, like for example in week 7 there is sixth form open evening on that Thursday, so there are little notices like that just to kind of keep you updated throughout the year.